do you have a background then in horse racing? When you spoke about your dad and
Yeah,
doing and having a property
more
and that sort
so
of thing.
show jumping.
Mm.
My dad show jumped to
Ah.
quite a serious level. And they always they were friends with trainers and they dabbled with a bit of, they had a racehorse and it just, we always got our show jumpers from obviously off the track horses because we couldn't quite afford the expensive warm bloods. And that's how I got involved. We were looking for a show jumping horse. And the trainer said, "Oh, come try ride work." I was like, okay, and how must I ride work? I mean, I show jump. And I fell in love. So
Mm.
that's kind of how my one went.
Oh
So
wow!
we've
So
always been with horses.
were you originally a show jumper?
Yeah. Yeah, I managed to get up to sort of junior A grade. Bit of a battler, but I loved it, eh? And I wanted to be professional show jumper. But obviously, in this place you can't make money from doing that. So I took second best
Mm.
option.
And when you spoke, we were speaking off air about your journey at the Jockey Academy, and you had to reapply. You were rejected in your applications to join the Jockey Academy numerous times, but it was something that you
Yeah.
seemed to be quite persistent about, and you persisted and persisted. What was that journey like, and why were you so determined? Because a lot of people at that age, because it happens when you're quite young, you go into the Jockey Academy, a lot of people would have taken that as a sign and saying, oh, maybe it's not for me, or I'm being rejected for reasons that are unfair, and you give up and you move on and do something else.
Yeah, I think it might be a personality trait of mine. I think the more you tell me no, the more I say, well, I'm gonna show you. So it was a very long journey.
Mm.
I started riding work when I was 14. By the time I was about 16, 17, I decided, okay, I want to be a jockey. And I was quite dismissed. There were three trainers who said, no, it's a very good idea. And everyone else said, you're wasting your time. Women don't make it in the game. You're too tall. You're going to be too heavy. It's a waste. So I applied the first time and I got rejected. The second time it was for fitness. They said I wasn't fit enough. Then they said I was too heavy. So I only got accepted in 2021. So I just was about to turn 20 years old. So yeah, it was quite a long time that I had to wait, but I think it did me the world of good because the more they said no, and for whatever reason they'd give me, I'd come back the next time with that reason fixed. So I lost sort of 3, 4 kgs. I got so fit that when I did my final entrance exam, I was fit enough that I passed all their tests to start race riding because I went like a little bit insane over COVID. I was running half marathons and doing as much bloody gym as possible, purely because they had said I wasn't fit enough and I'm going to show them. So by the time I got in,
Mm.
I think I was actually so frightened because I'd put so much effort into getting in and I was on a 6 month probation and I thought, I haven't actually got to the part of is it going to work? I just got to I'm going to get there and I'm going to show you. And then I was there and I thought, oh my God, what if I am actually not good and they're all right and I'm going to be a failure? And thank goodness I got the right support and it turns out that my mentality was probably right and that I was okay and it was the right choice. But it was quite a scary period because also just before my final check to try get in my last throw at the dice, I'd ridden a amateur race and won it for a owner called Nick Johnson, who you'll know from Johnson Workwear. And he said to me that
Yes.
if I don't get into the academy, it's fine. He will sort me out going to the UK. I can go work for one of his trainers there and become an apprentice their way, which is quite a terrifying way because you start as a groom and you clean boxes, you ride out in the mornings, and it's tough. So I'd pretty much almost booked my tickets to go there when the academy came back and said, okay, we'll put you on 6 months probation, purely because Michael Roberts, Garth Puller, and Kevin Wright had a meeting with the academy and said, come on, just give her a chance. Put her on 6 months. If it's no good, it's no good, but give her a try. And the rest is history.
Mm. Did you feel like there was a target on your back as far as that was concerned, that 6 month probationary period? Like, did you feel like they were looking for reasons to get you out of the program versus reasons to keep you in the program?
It's hard to say, but I think that the whole reason of having a 6 month is that if it makes it easy for them to get rid of you, if you aren't towing the line, which I think, given that I came in heavier than I should have. I mean, my weight was 53 and a half. And if I went a step over that, I mean, if I weighed in at 54 and they weighed us twice a week, every week without fail, and sometimes had surprise weigh-ins, if I was half a kilo over, I'd get a letter of warning. Which, what, in fairness, I think is actually the right way of doing it because it's taught me such discipline. I mean, my weight, actually, after I left the academy, oddly, I lost another 2 kilos and I now ride 52. I walk around comfortably at 52 and seldom does my weight go over it. And that 6 months is what really put it into my head how ultra disciplined we need to be. But it was scary because I kept every sort of move you make, you think, oh gosh, is this the end? And I think I started race riding just after the 6 months had ended. And that did relieve a little bit of pressure because I thought, oh, I don't know if they're going to want to then chuck me out because I haven't ridden a winner fast enough. But it settled down. I think as everyone got to know me and I got to know them as well, they realized that we're actually quite professional and we're all dealing with everything properly.
Hmm. What about maintaining that weight, that 52 kilos, on a daily basis? Is that something that has just become part of your lifestyle, or is that constant, ongoing work, day in, day out? And has that struggle changed over the years, sort of as you've got older now, 6, 7 years later?
Mm. Mine has very much changed. When I first started, the battle with the weight was probably my biggest issue. I was on a low carb diet. So I was eating no sugar, no potatoes, no pasta, all the things I like. And I just couldn't keep my weight stagnant. I kept going up and down and battling, and I was like unhappy and craving things. And I thought, is this now the rest of my life is going to be battling hunger? I mean, that's not like the most pleasant way of doing things. And it was almost like as I got older, my whole body changed, and now it's become easy for me. But I think it is also a very lifestyle change. I seldom eat huge astronomical meals or uh, sweet foods and bad things. So it's definitely a lifestyle change and choice, but it's become a heck of a lot easier for me now.
Mm. Do you weigh yourself every day?
Twice a day, sometimes 3 times. I am a little bit
No worries.
OCD. I wake up every morning, I weigh before I get dressed and ready in the morning. In the evening, when I come home after dinner, I'll check again. And then, obviously, if it's a race day, I'll check just before I leave for the races.
Wow. And then, so say, for example, a race day, um, explain to the layperson how it works with respect to carrying weights and how those weights might change during the day. I mean, you've got a meeting, and there might be you might be riding 6 or 7 times over the course of that afternoon or that evening. Does your weight have to be maintained throughout that? Does the weight change? Do you have to then, for example, have to lose weight from the time that you ride in race 2, and then to maybe you've got to do a different weight in race 8 or race 7?
Yeah, so it all depends on what your carded rides are on the day. So every horse, of course, gets its demarcated weight for the meet for its race. You'll normally have sort of 6, 7, 8 rides, and for me, I generally keep my weight low so that I just add on to my weights. Obviously, with my bigger saddle and my lead to increase my weight, because it's still the same rules. Yourself, your clothing, your saddle, and whatever extra lead you need to make the carded weight of the horse. So when I ride 52 kgs, we are given a kg at the scale. So the horse is carrying 52, but in actuality it's 53 to account for our body protectors. Because back in the day, they were finding that
Mm-hmm.
not giving the guys weights at the scale, they were skimping on your safety equipment, which in long term is probably not a very good idea. So we're enforced to have proper,
Yes.
actual registered body protectors, so we don't get squashed. Um, Yeah, so for 52 rides, I've got a little saddle about this big. But I love it. I think it's great. It's especially designed carbon fiber, so it's minute and
So,
it weighs, I think, 200 grams.
mm,
Oh, sorry, I thought you were saying
wow,
something.
that's fascinating. Pick it up
So
straight from there.
if you do need to lose weight, because you obviously you've got to make your guarded weight, I'm lucky. I refuse to use saunas or sweat, but a lot of the guys will have to sit in the sauna for up to an hour to lose a kilo, kilo and a half. Have Epsom salts baths. You run in plastics before the races to dehydrate yourself to lose the weight. Which I can't do it. I feel like I want to die when I sweat. But it's actually a very common thing amongst the jockeys to be sitting in saunas and sweating. They call it wasting to get the weight off of you. I know there's a big drive in the UK to try to stop the guys from doing it because it's not particularly good for your health to dehydrate for a day and rehydrate, and it's not ideal for the kidneys. So I'm very lucky that I don't do that. But I know a lot of the guys who battle with their weights are taking off up to 3 kilos of water on a day.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, obviously the safety concerns with something like that is also dramatic because there you are, you're dehydrated. That has huge implications for your ability to concentrate and cognitive function and physically perform at the highest level, all while at the same time riding this beast at 1,000,000 miles an hour against a whole lot of other beasts right next to you. And if you had to fall over, it has obviously very dire consequences. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think there are obviously very significant safety concerns with respect to that. But, I guess be that as it may, I had Anthony Del Pesce on the podcast a couple of years ago, and he would speak about how he had to do that, to the point where sometimes guys would actually pass out, like on the
Yep.
horse.
That
Uh,
we've had it a couple
yeah,
of
that's
times,
not,
or they come back to get
yeah,
on the scale and they keel over.
yeah, that's madness. It's absolutely, it's yeah, it's incredible actually. But it speaks to the nature and the lifestyle that a jockey has to live, right? So what what does a normal day look like for you, Rachel? So you're meeting somebody for the first time and they're going to follow you around with a camera. What should they expect to see on your standard day of work?
Yeah, so we'll give you the non-race day. Well, actually, race day is probably more entertaining because I'm up every morning 4:30. I'm at the track by 5. Then I'll ride work. So the horses will be brought to the track with their grooms, and you just swap over and go. This thing will bloody go away, my chicken. Go
That's
work the
okay. The
horses,
chicken
whatever.
can make a guest appearance.
I'm like, I can't get away from anyone in this place.
No,
Yeah,
no,
so
that's fine. Yeah.
I'll generally ride work till about 10 o'clock, 10, 10:30. When that's all done, come home. If we're racing, I'll obviously change, get all my stuff together, and go down to either Greyville or Scottsville. If I'm riding in Johannesburg, I'll still go to work in the morning, but I'll obviously have to dash off a bit earlier to get to the airport. Fly, race, however many rides I have on the day. I generally get about 5 to 6, 6 to 7 rides a meeting, and then home. And if there's no racing, I run a farm, as you can tell from the screaming animals behind me.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's a very
Yeah.
sort of
So
simple life.
on the non-race days, so then you would go and you would ride work in the mornings, and then you would come back and you'd spend time on the farm. Is that right?
Exactly, yeah. So I've got a little setup here as well. I do a little bit of breeding. So I've got a brood mare and her baby here. She's also a mare I won 3 races on. So I love her, and she was for sale, and I took her because I just couldn't bear to part with her. And I do a little bit of pre-training as
Ah,
well. So
sweet.
because I love breaking in the babies. It's like my favorite part of the job.
And what does that entail?
Yeah, so that's I do it a little bit differently from like your standard pre-training yards. I believe in, they must run around the paddock and do their thing with their mates. And then you just start them off. They've never seen a saddle in their life, so slowly I start lunging, and slowly I put just a surcingle on with a numbner and a little pad on their back. Slowly get the saddle on, then you just rest your body over them. And I take sort of 2 weeks to break in a horse properly. Pop a rider on, they learn to be led around, walk, trot, and then I've got an old horse as well that helps me. So I'll ride him with the baby, and the babies learn so quickly when they're with an older horse that within a week they cantering around the arena on their own.
Wow. Wow, that's fantastic. So then you would go, you would ride the older horse, and then the younger one would watch and observe, and
Yeah,
then
I
as a
usually
result,
I've got a
they then they
yeah
then
like a
pick it up
little.
faster.
They really do. So I've got a top work rider in Summerfelt who comes to help me because he also loves breaking in the babies. So I'll bring him back with me after track in the morning, and we'll do the babies because it's
Wow,
also like,
that's so
yeah,
cool. So I mean,
he loves riding them. Yeah,
this is like a really like a full circle thing for you, that you go from that part of the horse racing industry to then being a jockey on the horse in the silks and competing to win races. So
yeah,
it's very cool. Like you sort of do the whole life. You're involved in the whole life cycle of the business.
yeah. I love it.
Let's chat about. You spoke about that horse that has some particular sentimental value for you. Is there a particular horse over your career so far that has changed the way that you think about racing and has had a major impact on you personally?
Yeah, there's probably quite a few. I'd have to say probably the best horse for me was a horse called Eye of the Prophet. And he's actually got an amazing story as well. There's a trainer in Johannesburg called Paul Matchett, and he had brought a string of horses down. I was, I think, a second year apprentice. And on a weekend, we've got a little bed and breakfast down the road. And I went there with my folks, and he called me over and he said, "Oh, Rachel, come ride a gallop for me next week. I've got this horse. His name's Eye of the Prophet. You'll win the guineas on it." So I thought, yeah, sure, okay, whatever. I went and I galloped the horse and I really liked him. The horse then never raced in Durban, took him back to Johannesburg, and I went there and I won 4 races on him, and then he entered him in the guineas. And I still thought, you're going to win the guineas. Okay, sure. I haven't even like ridden in big feature races. And sure as nuts, this horse got up to win the guineas, a short head, beating the horse that the following year won the Summer Cup, with champion jockey Samanga Kumalo on. And we came flying up the outside and grabbed him on the line. And that horse was so special to me. I think we ended up winning 6 races together. He was just the coolest animal out because he was very finicky as well. He'd only let certain people work with him. And you could just see as soon as I got up next to him, he'd soften, and he loved me. And I absolutely adored him. And he had one groom the whole time. And Paul Matchett's assistant, Sarah, also was always his person. So he was quite a fussy animal, but we did really well together.
Is that true? You know, they speak about having a connection with a horse in particular, and like you use that word soften, and how that animal, that particular horse, softened around you. Is that something that happens quite often, where you might feel a particular connection to a horse, and then that obviously is received in return? And can a horse, for example, feel if you're not quite on your game today, if you're feeling a bit all over the place, can the horse then sort of mimic and mirror that sort of behavior?
100%. They're very sensitive. The perfect example I've got, you definitely have. Well, I'll tell you my example. There's a horse I ride called Cowdrey Park, who got he was originally in Cape Town, with a big stable, who said they can't work with him anymore. We've got to get rid of him. He was certified intractable to race. They said he will never ever see a race course. The thing's insane. And he arrived at our stable, and I took it upon myself to get this horse going. And I got hell bent, and I said, he will definitely race. I don't care how or how long it takes, we're going to do it. And he used to take me about half an hour, 45 minutes to try and work him in the mornings. He'd run backwards, he wouldn't go forward, he'd just do whatever he could to not go onto a training track. And I was just always patient with him, and eventually I got him going, and we sorted out working at home. Then it came to sorting out the starting gates. and he didn't want to know about them. It took me about 2 months every single day of working with him. I've now got him that he looks at the gates and you just say the word box and he walks in. So he's like really well schooled. But with him, I would find if I was having a bad day, say something had happened or someone had upset me, this horse would lose the plot. And I think, but we fixed all of this problem. And still today, I ride him every day. If I'm having a bad day, he'll start doing like some weird stuff. And I'm like, okay, hang on. This is now because I've got upset. I'll take a minute, catch my breath, relax, and then he'll relax. So he's just a very sort of big example of it. But so many horses, if I'm not in the right frame of mind, straight away they'll start acting differently. And they even do it if I'm sick and I ride a horse that normally gives me a hard time in the morning. They're suddenly quite nice to me. And I'm like, oh, you can feel I'm not 100%. They won't pull or they won't do something that they normally do. And it's amazing. You'll get back and you think, geez, that horse was so nice. You're like, yeah, I'm not feeling well. I've been coughing or whatever. It's fascinating how quickly they take on what you feel or what you do.
Wow, that is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Then on the flip side of that, you've got riding a horse is obviously a very dangerous thing, right? Things can happen, accidents happen. They are animals at the end of the day. Sometimes they can't tell you how they're feeling or what they're thinking. So injuries are inevitable in the sport, right? You've had your fair share of injuries and physical setbacks. How have you learned to deal with those setbacks throughout the course of your career so far?
Well, yeah, I have been a little bit accident prone, especially around July time. So I'm very chuffed we've made it to the end of July. I think it's something you never really,
Yes.
really learn how to deal with. Probably my worst one was when I broke my tibia. I snapped it clean in half and had to have the pins put in and all that jazz. And I got told it was going to take me 9 months to get back in the saddle. And you get quite sort of sad about everything, and you think, will I ever be back? Will I ever be okay? And I just always say, what's the point in worrying about it? It's not going to change anything. Do something you can do today. So with the leg, okay, I couldn't walk, but I could do little bicep curls or little attempted pull-ups or whatever I could do physically. And that always gives me like the little edge to say, okay, no, I can carry on. So it was, for me, it was always just about keeping on, keeping on. I mean, it's quite a lame thing to say, but I just say you wake up every day and you just keep going forward, because you might want to feel sad and down, and I think we all do. When you hurt, you watch your usual horses you ride winning races with other people, and it's sad. So for me, I just kick it out and keep on going.
Yeah, I mean, there's a wonderful line from Jordan Peterson, who I reference a lot in this show, but he spoke about picking up the heaviest load possible and moving forward with that. And that doesn't mean that the load is actually heavy. It's all very relative and it's all very specific to the individual, and then even the individual circumstances at the time. So in your case, you spoke quite literally about picking up something heavy and doing, or a heaviest thing you could lift at that time, which is a bicep curl or pull up and that sort of thing. But that is the fastest way out of the doldrums, so to speak. What is the heaviest thing, the hardest thing that I can do now, given the situation that I'm confronted with? And therefore, physical exercise, I've got a gym, is one of the most powerful things that a person can do, because everybody is capable of doing something. There are very, very few people in this world who are physically incapable of doing anything. And so it is a really important point, just from a personal development and a self-improvement standpoint, that you set that example and that story. And I think that's a lesson that a lot of people can learn, is we all are in a position where we can pick up the heaviest load that's possible for us on that particular day, time, phase in our lives, etc. And that's the quickest way out, rather than ruminating and feeling down and allowing that to determine your behavior. So, for example, I always say, act in spite of your emotions, not in response to them. So if we only took action when we felt motivated, and if we were feeling really positive about life, then we would pretty much never do anything for long enough to see any kind of reward, because we don't feel motivated all the time. It's not fun to get up sometimes at 4:30 in the morning, especially in the winter in Summerfeld. It's cold and it's dark, and there's no person, very few people in their right mind who would actually do that and feel like doing that every single day. But you get up and you do it anyway, and you persevere, and then that's how you see improvement over time. And it's the same thing in the gym. It's the same thing with the podcast. It's the same thing writing work. So I think that's a fantastic example for people to maybe apply that in their own lives. Tell me about your relationship with fear, because as a result, we connect the injuries coming back from something like that, like a broken bone, a concussion, etc. There is a relationship with fear that a jockey must certainly have to deal with on the daily basis, and the mental side of looking to literally get back on the horse is a good example given the context of this podcast today.
Absolutely. My favorite quote ever is, if you can't beat the fear, just do it scared. And that resounded with me hugely. Because there is this kind of stigma that with what we do, we're fearless, nothing scares us. But I know that's not true, and I know that everyone feels fear because you're sometimes faced with life and death instances. I mean, if you're going along at 60 k's an hour in a race and a horse falls in front of you, it's dangerous. So no one can say that they're never frightened. And obviously, some situations are more frightening than others. And for me, I always thought, oh, there's something wrong if you feel scared. But there's nothing wrong with that. And if you focus, actually, my dad taught me this with the show jumping. The more you concentrate, if you focus, now, okay, it used to be going into rather sizable show jump that was scaring the bejesus out of me. So if you just look at it and you concentrate, the fear disappears. It takes a back seat. So he said, if you feel it, just work through it. And the more you work through it, the easier it is to master. You master your own feelings. And I think it's quite prevalent, the mental aspect in racing, and it's not mentioned enough. Just how you've got a million things going on, you're focusing on, and you're now in this space where you could be frightened, you might have something else you're thinking about, and you've got to just sort of Zen mode it, I always call it, because you give it over to the
Mm.
horses as well. So I always, if I'm feeling a bit nervous, I think, what is it that's scaring me? Okay, is it that I'm going to make a mistake? Is it that I'm going to get hurt? What is it? Is it? And work through and figure out exactly what it is that's making you nervous or frightening you. And it's generally something that's quite small that you think, well, the chances of that actually happening are quite slim. And if it does, it's by the grace of God we're here anyway.
Mm. I like that. I like that, because I think we all have to deal with fear on some level. It's yours might be physical fear because you're on top of a horse and there's genuine physical harm that can come to you if things don't go well. But at the same time, that same response psychologically is happening to people all the time when they are fearful of uh, starting a side hustle or doing something that they've always wanted to do, but a fear of being rejected or being judged by other people. And it stops a lot of people from doing a lot of things. And it comes down to being comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's another cliche. But somebody said to me in a previous episode, the nervous system will choose familiar suffering over unfamiliar success every day of the week. And that just like, it struck me. And it was such a nice way of saying it because it really hit home that it is this thing that has to be overridden. You do have to override that version of thinking because it's a very primal way of thinking. We have developed systems in our body over millions of years that have been designed to stop us from being eaten by tigers and lions and surviving out in the wilderness. But those threats aren't there anymore. But so these systems, these default systems, don't serve us as effectively as they used to. And unless you're aware of it, like you're saying, you are bringing it forward and saying, okay, I'm fearful, I'm feeling this thing. Let me work through it. Why am I feeling this way? Logically speaking and thinking about it, is this a reality? Is there a realistic chance that this might take place? Or is it just something that I'm building up in my own head? And I think, again, that's something that a lot of people can resonate with. What about misconceptions? So you spoke about people not understanding, and not enough people understanding the mental side to racing. What is the biggest misunderstanding or misconception that the public will have about your profession?
Geez, that's quite a difficult question because I think there's quite a lot of misconceptions. Well, just
You can
speaking from
rattle off a
myself,
couple if you want. You don't have to
yeah.
limit it to just one.
Well, I would rattle off a couple, but I just can't think of any currently. Probably, for me,
That's
it's
okay.
they look at me and they go, "You're a tall woman. You can't be a jockey." I mean, you don't have woman jockeys. We do now. We're slowly changing that face. So I think that is also a common misconception that the women are weaker. We can't hold our own with the men. Well, we've proved that one wrong now, so that's sort of been solved. But yeah, I can't
Did
really
you
think of
feel
any
that
yet.
that was a responsibility? So you are, in many senses, in the local horse racing industry, a pioneer by being a professional female jockey. Were you? Was that always front of mind for you, that you were setting an example for other women and younger girls who maybe had aspirations of choosing that line of work? Or is that something that you sort of pushed to one side and were just focused on your own journey and trying to be the best that you could be?
Yeah, for me, I was very focused on my own journey. I never even actually thought about it really until sort of I became sort of a pioneer, and they said, "Oh, by the way, you are a pioneer." And I thought, "Oh, yeah, actually, women haven't done what I've done," which is it was a very different way of doing things because I never really thought about trailblazing and the first woman to do something. I just wanted to be as good as the men, and yeah, for me, it suddenly only like dawned on me, especially as I'm getting older, that okay, you now have this responsibility to other women. But I never even stopped to think about it. I just wanted to be the best. Never mind male or female. I just wanted to be the best of what I was.
You wanted to be the best jockey.
Yeah.
That's it.
And yeah, a good person as well. I'm a big believer in, you must do things the right way as well. We've got morals, and I see a lot of immoral things that go on. And to me, it's about being a big person, handling things well, and of course, being the best jockey. That's pretty much what I planned out for myself, but I wanted to do it properly as well.
Yeah, the way that you conduct yourself
Mm.
over the course of your career, because at the end of the day, your career has a lifespan to it, being an elite sportswoman, and just like every other sports personality, their career comes to an end at some stage. And I suspect that when you look back on your accolades, what you've achieved in the sport, that will matter a huge amount. But I think what will matter more is the way you conducted yourself throughout that phase in your life. So I think that you're absolutely spot on there. I'm going to put you on the spot with this one. And I'm going to ask you, it's 5 years from now, okay? So what would have to happen in the next 5 years? So you're reflecting now on 5 years, which is now today. What would have to happen in the next 5 years for you to look back on it and for you to say, that is the best 5 years of my life so far?
Gosh, well, it depends how good is the best. For
Well, your
me,
version of the best. It's all
constant.
subjective, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So constant good results. So for me, I look for consistency. I don't like making mistakes in races. I always say you look at Ryan Moore, best jockey in the UK. I don't think I've ever actually seen him make a mistake, so I won't judge myself on his levels. But to limit the number of mistakes and You know what, for me, I'm not so much of a, I won this race and I did this, so therefore I'm brilliant. It's more the journey for me. And if in 5 years' time I'm lucky enough to have more opportunities to ride overseas and I've done well with what opportunities I've had, I'll be overjoyed.
How much homework is involved in sort of reviewing a particular race? Like, how technical does it get post race? Do you unpack it and think, okay, I, I rode really well here, and maybe there's another race when you thought, I made an error here, and that maybe cost us. Do you go back and do you review the footage, or is it something that you just learn on the fly as you go? How technical does it get?
I'm very technical. I believe after every race meeting, I will go through all the replays from the day and decide whether I made a good call, a bad call. Michael Roberts, who's the trainer I ride for, also ex-champion jockey in South Africa. Whatever questions I have, I'll always show him and say, "Oh, I don't know, should I have switched out or should I have done something differently in a race?" Which is massive benefit for any rider because technical planning in a race, you just don't get better than Michael Roberts's. Um, and also pre-race, a lot of studying goes into. I will go through the field of horses and work out who I think will be where, um, and exactly how my horse likes to race. And I'll often, after a race, then review that and say, "Oh, well, I was wrong about the position that I thought a horse would take. Why?" So that I can always factor it in and just keep improving my understanding and my technical and tactical way of riding.
So is a lot of it based on the abilities of the horse that you're riding in that particular race? Like some horses like to be front runners, some horses like to sit at the back. Do you take that all into consideration and decide according to how the horse would want to run the race, rather than a preference of yours?
Yeah, absolutely. So I always let the horse be the judge of what needs to happen because you can't they're very much like people as well. If a person is not a good reader, but they're good on the computer, why would you force them to sit and learn from a textbook when they'd be better at learning on a computer? It's the same for a horse. If a horse is a natural front runner, you don't want to go and force it to sit further back because it's not going to do its best work. So I mold everything into what a horse would prefer. And some horses are quite straightforward. They don't really mind whatever you do with them, as long as the fractions of the race also make a huge difference. How fast the rest of the field is going. You don't want to be sitting up second or third and they're going flat out because your horse is going to get tired. So it's also, and it's split seconds. I mean, you've got the first sort of 200 meters to work out how fast everyone's going around you and how fast you should be going, or should you slow down, speed up. And that, unfortunately, is also just a little bit of instinct. You've just sometimes got to trust your gut.
That's fascinating. How much of a difference, then, in your opinion, does the jockey make to the race? So, I mean, you've no doubt you've got horses that are incredibly talented and incredibly fast, and you're just always going to have some horses that are just better athletes than others, right? Just like humans, you get some people that are better athletes than others. How much of an impact does a jockey have on a race in terms of changing the outcome of that race?
It's probably not that high because I mean, we can't make a horse go faster if it can't. But you can definitely stop one from winning by making mistakes. So I do think it does have quite a bit of toe in the jockey's hands. Because if you're on a horse that looks like it's going to win and you've ended up in a pocket and you can't ride your finish out, you get beat. That's the human's fault, not the horse. So I think a fair amount does rely upon the jockey. So it does make it a little bit more difficult because, I mean, if a horse is bad and you ride a good race, it's still not going to win. But if it's a good horse and you ride a bad race, it won't win. So it is quite a lot on a jockey's shoulders.
That's that's really interesting. Hey, can you think of an example where where you got it right? I've no doubt there's many examples, but one that stands out to you where you had an instinct, you had a gut feel about a particular horse in a particular race, and then how it panned out in the first 200 meters, and you had to make a call, and that call might have been a call that could have been unpopular. So also maybe a brave call, knowing that if you don't get it right, then it's going to go to hell. But you took that chance, you followed your gut, and then it paid off big time.
Well, probably the best example will actually be a race I just won on Sunday. I rode a horse at Scottsville, a hot favorite. I think he was like 15 to 10 or something. And I had every intention of going to the front in the race. I was going to lead the race. And the horse decided otherwise because as the gates opened, he stood, the rest of the field came out, and we were like 3 lengths last. And I thought, oh, I don't know, now should I try and chase and make up the ground? And I thought, nope. Just instinctively, I dropped my hands and I dropped him. I sat last. I think there were 14 of us in the race. I was like 15 lengths last, turning for home at Scottsville. And I just stayed dead straight. And as we turned for home, I thought, let me hang on a second. And it was like the Red Seas parted for me. All the horses opened up and dropped back, and I just shot up through the middle of the track. Didn't even have to alter my stride or anything, and got up to win. So it was, when I got back, everyone said, well, I said, thank goodness the horse did win, because I think if I didn't, I'd probably be called world's worst jockey getting beat on that horse. Because he kind of had to win, but from where I was, it made it a very,
Yeah.
very difficult task. And the trainer also said to me, he was so glad that when that happened, I just jumped to plan B, which was actually ended up being plan C by the time we got there. Which was, I just thought on my feet and I thought, okay, I can't follow the original plan. It's not going to work. Let me adapt the plan. So yeah, we do have actually quite a few instances like that. And that's where the gut instinct comes into it, of being able to alter your original plan, what your trainers helped you and told you to do on a horse. When you can see it's not going to work, to jump to plan B, C, D, and E.
How much of that planning happens between yourself and the trainer before the race? So who leads that conversation? Is the trainer the person that comes to you and says, okay, Rachel, I need you to ride this horse in a certain way, and I need you to do this, this, and this? Or is it more a collaboration between the jockey and the trainer to say, okay, this is what I think is going to be the best approach for this horse on this day?
So it's normally led by the trainer. So in a yard that you work closely with, it'll become more of a discussion where you'll say the pace of the race might alter this plan, or we might do it in a slightly different way. But generally, a trainer will tell you what the horse likes and how they'd like you to ride the horse in the race. And some trainers are very strict, and you have to follow out what they say, otherwise they get very upset with you afterwards. But a lot of them, I mean, most of the people I ride for will say, well, plan A is this, and if something goes wrong or you've got to change something according to the speed in the race, it's up to you. Which does I find it makes the job a lot easier, because you're not under pressure to not only ride exactly to the way the trainer wants you to ride, but to ride to the best of the horse's ability as well. And sometimes plans just don't work, and sometimes they work out perfectly. I mean, I've had a trainer tell me exactly what to do in a race, and I've done it and it's worked. So it does often end up as a conversation between trainer and jockey.
What about that feeling when you cross the finish line first? Can you describe that feeling to myself and to the listeners? Because we, we all see, for example, different sports, a goal being scored, somebody scoring the winning goal in a football match, someone kicking the winning goal in rugby, or scoring the winning try, or making the winning putt. What does that feel like when you cross the finish line first?
It's such a wonderful feeling. For me, I'm always just so excited for the horse, and I want to, cuddle the horse and say, "Well done, you did such a good job." But it's you never, no one ever forgets their first winner, the first time you ever cross the post, and you never forget that. You can ask these old jockeys who are obviously retired, 70, 80 years old. You say, "Who was your first winner?" And no one forgets that. And it's always interesting, your memories, how they work to how you can seldom forget horses that have won for you, because that you get like this rush that's just, it's indescribable and it's addictive, because once you've done it a couple of times, you just want to keep doing it, and you just, it never gets old. It's always fantastic, and I also feel quite relieved as well. Okay, we got the job done. That's brilliant. We can all calm down now. But it's so exciting always.
Wow, well put. I think that you've done justice to that for sure. What are you excited about? We sort of second half of the year now. We've got still lots of racing coming up. We're in the middle of racing season here in Derbs, Gold Cup coming up, and so on. What excites you about the rest of the year?
Well, we've got the Joburg season starts sort of just after December, sort of November through to January. So that's always exciting because I get quite nice opportunities in Johannesburg. So I'm looking forward to that, because I've still got my one unanswered thing that I really want to tick off the bucket list, which is winning in Group 1. So I've won quite a few Group 2s and 3s and listed races, but Group 1 is your highest echelon race, and that's like the July, the Met, the Summer Cup. Um, I'm quite hell bent on winning one of those eventually. If it's not next year, this year, the year after, I'm sure we'll get there. I hope. Um, but I just hope to meet some really nice horses along the way and produce some nice results.
And I'm sure it is inevitable. There does seem to be an inevitability about you ticking off that final thing on your list. Tell me, where can people find you if they want to get in touch, and if they want to follow your journey, and if they want to offer you encouragement and support? Where can they get in touch with you?
Anyway, I'm on Facebook under my name, Rachel Venniker. On Instagram as Venniker Rachel, because can't be normal about these things. And I'm also on TikTok, and it's also my name. So whichever platform people want to follow me on, I'm there and always posting the farm and the racing as well.
Nice. Well, Rachel, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. As I've said before, for people who followed the show from the get-go, I really enjoyed having Anthony Delpeche on the show, and subsequently, I really have enjoyed having you on the show. Coming from a horse racing background and having an understanding of what happens, it's nice to keep in touch with what's going on, what's the latest, and your journey, and keep persevering, keep doing the incredible work that you do. And I'm certainly rooting for you, and I know everybody else, after they have listened to this, will be doing the same.
Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure being on the show, and I hope we get some really nice feedback from it.
Lovely. Thanks. Hey everyone. A huge amount of work and effort goes into producing this podcast, whether it's from the research going into the episode, whether it's finding the guests coming to the location, or them being online, to producing the content, edited, and putting it in a format that is conducive to your ears and your eyes. And it goes a really, really long way if you can just do me one thing in return for this free content: share it. Share it far and wide, and if you find an episode useful, send it to someone who might feel the same way. That's all. Thanks a million. See you next week.